Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cardano Live. Sorry for the little bit of a late start up there. We have West Africa Decentralized Alliance with us here today, and we're going to be talking about their Project Catalyst proposals here on Cardano Live. We have Manfo who's with us. He's a technical lead. Megan, who is the internal operations lead. Mercy is communications and coordinations lead. And we have Josh, who is the global lead. And Josh, you're going to tell us what we'll be discussing today, and then you'll hand it over to Mercy, right? So what
Sure,
does
yeah.
each?
So we have Mercy starting with infrastructure. We then have Megan who will talk about education, and then Manfo will talk about DApp creation after that. And I will wrap up with a sort of overview of where we're at the moment and where we're going. Yeah, so I'll pass it over to Mercy.
Hi, thanks, Rick, for having us on the show. Basically, in terms of infrastructure for West Africa Decentralized Alliance, I know that the community is quite aware of what we are trying to do, and we'll go into a bit more details as this show goes on. But I want us to imagine, each of us, when we say, like a new area that needs to be developed. We go in there and we need to put in roads. We need to put in, sort of the access stuff that enables buildings to be put up when, there's a new subdivision or land for development. So we're in West Africa Decentralized Alliance, or WADA, when we talk about infrastructure, it's just sort of how do we prepare to get the work done? And blockchain technology, and especially Cardano, it's a well-built protocol. It has the capacity to solve a lot of the endemic problems in West Africa and in Africa. But then we are in a place where we don't really have, we don't have everything in place that we need to have. So, we are talking about electricity, we are talking about internet, we are talking about, like even staples, education. I think at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Megan just to talk about the education bit in terms of how we are moving on.
Yeah, so I think on the foundation of what we're trying to do at WADA is really starting with education. We acknowledge that, there's a lot of buzz around blockchain technology, and often kind of the Bitcoin takes the headline and people have really uncomfortable feelings about that. So what our goal is to go throughout. We're starting with West Africa. We have, several contacts on the ground who are looking to start hubs. Hubs are going to be focused on education, DApp creation, and all the while focusing on this infrastructure, building up the local communities. So talking about education, we have sort of a two-pronged approach here. We have the developer-focused approach, where we want to get devs up to speed in programming languages such as Haskell, Plutus, the functional languages that help build on the Cardano ecosystem. On the other hand, we want to talk to local businesses and governments to kind of get them on board that this technology can be helpful to them. So that's
right.
sort of the base of the starting point. And then that leads directly into DApp creations.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Rick, for having us on your show today. I think we are really grateful to have this opportunity to share what we have been working on for the last months. Fortio Manfo here, technical lead at WADA and software architect. And I think Mercy and Megan put it very well, right? So if you're starting to thinking about building something, you have to think about like that first step, which is getting the infrastructure and the logistic ready down there, in Africa, within the hubs that we are trying to start with WADA. So once you have that infrastructure there, Megan comes in with her education plan. We acknowledge that you need to get people together, whether that's policymakers or local communities, developers all together, give them that welcoming space where you can start educating them about like all these buzz words, blockchain, distributed ledger technology in general, or about. So once you create that environment and people have brainstormed their local solutions together and they found like the local problem and they found like solutions together and then they are ready to jump into the next stage, which is creating the dapps that will eventually or effectively solve their issues. So that's where I come in with my background in software development, and I look at the big picture. On the education side, I focus or will be focusing on training Haskell developers, and then taking them into the Bluetooth world. And through that journey, we'll be discovering, learning a lot about like how you actually like implement or architect in the first place a piece of software. You know, talking to them about like all the components in this field that is just started. It's still like a lot of pieces to put together and to make sense of. So yeah, that's like uh, what I can say for now, and I'm sure we'll get into details down the road.
Thank you,
Wonderful,
Manfo, and thank
wonderful.
you,
So,
Mercy and Megan.
for a
So far.
high-level overview,
Go ahead, Josh.
sorry, Rick, I was just going to say for a high-level overview, we are one of the missions at WADA is connecting West African developers and entrepreneurs to the Cardano ecosystem. That's why we're here, and the way we do that are through our three pillars, which are infrastructure, also including capacity building, education, and DApp creation. So we've created a system of proposals for Fund 4, which we will now go into. So I'll hand it over to you, Rick.
Okay, so the system of proposals for Fund 4. Now, I don't have the list of them here. We'll go back to the beginning and bring us up to the current state. You started off in Fund 1, right, Mercy? Putting in your initial, like a draft proposal to get something up and running?
We did, yes.
Okay.
We started in Fund 1, and and that was just a testing, and went into Fund 2, and then Fund 3, and now we are in Fund 4, and
Okay.
we're growing bigger and bigger.
Okay, and in Fund 3, the main proposal was so close to getting approved. It was actually kind of approved because there were ones below it that got funded and got approved. Yours was actually in a really good zone, but it only missed by, what was it, like $3,000?
Yes, it was by $3,000. So yeah.
Okay, and that happened. So what we need people to do is, get out there and vote. And I know it's challenging to vote right now because the voting infrastructure isn't entirely complete. But we got to get people registering to vote, which is coming up in next week, I believe, and then voting for Fund 4 is coming up the week after that, and we'll get some more information out there. You have a Twitter campaign planned for that, for Fund 4, so people have better awareness of the proposals that WADA is working on, the West Africa Decentralized Alliance centered proposals. Okay. Now, previously it was one large proposal. We broke it down, and you broke it down into multiple smaller proposals. Is that correct, Josh? That's how we did it. Was pared
Right.
it down into more smaller. Now, I have that
Yeah.
slide that you sent me, Mercy. Do you want me to screen share that slide, and then one of you can speak to it for a little bit and tell us what all we got going on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
I
might
think
be
that
easier
would
than me
be
trying
great.
to just.
We could.
Does that work for you, Megan, too? Good. All right.
Good.
And just
No, I was going to say that we'll get Megan to speak to it. To the slide,
Okay.
to the slide you're going to share. Yes.
okay, I'll go ahead and bring that up.
So I can start introducing a little bit. In Fund 3, we had sort of a big proposal. We had mostly sort of a Ghana team, and then we had just joined with WADA, so we had sort of two main groups on the ground. Us in Cameroon, I should add. So we had sort of mostly it was still focused around the kind of WADA internal and outreach events. So since then, we've really expanded a lot. We were talking to a lot of partners, a lot of people were kind of coming in wanting to get into the WADA network. And that's really what we're all about. We're about connecting people who are coming in with great ideas to solutions that are going to help them make their ideas successful. So if you look at this graphic sort of in the blue on the left-hand side, we have the different people who came to us looking for this connection. So, at the top, Palup, they're actually quite global, but have some feet on the ground in South Africa, I believe, and Ghana. And then Exceed Network is in Nigeria. Up to Date Developers, the last two, they're in DRC, in Central Africa, actually. So we kind of had these proposals on the side. And we thought, look, in Fund 3, we had kind of the internal proposal. Now what we want to do is think about what are some extra things we can do now to branch out. So in the center there, sort of the circle, the main, I guess, WADA proposals, we have creating our own integrated management system. And this one's really, really key because I think one of the problems with a lot of startups is that they don't get the time and the funding to be able to really create a solid foundation. And that's what we really want to do. And that's what we really appreciated with what Cardano did. They took the time, they created a really solid foundation for what they're doing. And that's what we as a community want to be supporting. So as kind of the network that's connecting those people, we want to also have, an integrated management system that's built with functional programming languages that's therefore really sound and solid. So we had kind of this one proposal to really address that component. On the other hand, we want to make sure to be able to register. We have 5 hubs that we want to register and connect to the Cardano ecosystem as well. We put one of them actually on the side, the one in DRC. They kind of joined us a little bit later on, so that's why they're a separate proposal. But so between those two, we had 5 total. And then on our side in Cameroon, we had this idea that's, a little bit off. Maybe people would want to support us in that way, of sort of supporting the developers in a different way, in more of a humanitarian way, in providing free childcare, snacks and events focused at making them comfortable and bringing in sort of non-typical people into our developer meetups. So that's kind of the bottom layer. And then at the top, we have some of the different events and outreach strategies that we wanted to pursue as well. Josh, I don't know if you wanted to speak more specifically to those 3.
Sure. So we have the 2-day virtual event that will be taking place probably sometime in June, if it gets funded, because a lot of things, on a high level briefly, a lot of these things are done in phases and stages, as you've seen in Catalyst. So if one thing gets funded, let's say the admin side, then we can actually provide the support to the other companies. If one thing doesn't get funded, it sort of halts everything behind it, which is sort of what's happened in Fund 3 and Fund 4. But we're just continuing. So we have the dev tools and events also, which is more Manfo side, I guess, in terms of the Haskell and Plutus, and then the onboarding as well, which I think Mercy was looking at. But those 3 are really the drivers behind a lot of things that are going to be going on in terms of bringing more people into Catalyst and more people into Cardano. So you have the developers and you have the entrepreneurs. They're going to be putting together proposals, and then the users of their products are going to be Cardano users. So this is the thing. If you want to grow Cardano, grow Africa, and the way you grow Africa is by creating a lot of these schemes and creating a lot of these outreach programs. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Josh, and thank you, Megan, as well. And Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, is these top 3 up here in green, the West Africa Proposal Outreach, the dev tools and events and Catalyst onboarding. Is this the breakout from the Fund 3 proposal where it's parsed
Right.
out into these three?
Right, right. So what we had in Fund 3 is we had essentially just kickstarts for the hubs. So you know you had Cameroon, you had Ghana, and people that had been doing work over 3-4 months, essentially voluntarily. So a lot of Fund 3 went into actually keeping those people on board and keeping them, motivated to actually continue. And what we had is that feeding into, as you said, these three top proposals in terms of, okay, so you had the solid team, they were good for 3 months, they could start working on these proposals, and then when they were funded, they could go through. So as I said, it's a phasing system that we're partnering with Catalyst on to create this program where we can continue to expand, continue to onboard people onto Catalyst, and hopefully create some new Cardano businesses from it.
Okay, thank you, Josh. And I would like to make note so that people understand the level of complexity that you're dealing with in the West Africa countries, the many different countries. How many different countries was it? Like 12 you were telling me yesterday? Or
Yeah, it's about 18 actually. So
18
quite
of
a
the
few.
many countries that you're touching here. And there's different levels of readiness where you have some people who are ready to start working or are working on Haskell and Plutus. That's like one level of readiness here, developers. Then there's other levels of readiness where you need to support developers with some of the basic stuff like locations to do the learning, support for some of the basics just so that they can get there and stuff like that. So you have a challenge because you have a very broad spectrum. And I think that's important that people understand the level of difficulty you're facing here. But it's not that difficult. And the budget, the funding is not much. Fund 4 is some higher number. I think it went up to 2 million for Fund 4, if I'm not
Right.
mistaken. And the budget you did here, you parsed it out into the separate projects, and the budget is much lower than it was on Fund 3 already. So, I think that would help people, the voters, when they see it, and they'll say, oh, yeah, wow, that's a really good budget considering the level of effort they have to put in to build this stuff. I think people will understand, hopefully, that they're getting their money's worth, right? You want me to bring the screen share down? Does anyone need the screen share or anything else you want to speak to on that? On the PowerPoint
Well, I just
slide?
wanted to quickly mention another reason for sort of breaking up the proposals in this way was that we're really addressing the different categories. And we wanted to kind of show there wasn't necessarily one category that we solve. It was all of the categories, really. So that was another thought in kind of pinpointing in which category, what's our specific angle, and going from there.
Yeah, Rick, I just want to jump in here and add a little bit more. And I think you brought up a really key point here, the level of complexity that WADA is dealing with all of this. And we can look at it in many different ways. One way would be, if we focus on this yellow circle at the center, where we have local centers in West Africa, and then we also have this WADA outreach equals smart catalyst users. What we're trying to do with the first one, the centers, is really, building a network, like a network of resources that then people could down the road exchange, and then you have the benefit of the network effect. Um, and with the top one, which is building a platform for WADA, again, it's actually a journey where we're going to be like not only onboarding developers with the functional programming paradigm, but also be focusing on Plutus and giving them like the basic tools, to be as successful as Cardano is today. The Cardano we all love, and I think we also acknowledge that they put a lot of thought into, the business or the processes, and we are seeing the results. So really what we're trying to do here is lay the ground for those young people and give them an opportunity to dream. They are passionate, They really want to, get out there and help Cardano with its mission, and they're just waiting for that little push to start things.
Yeah, and very quickly to add to what Manfred is saying, Eric, before you bring the slide down, I want our audience, I want the Cardano community also. It's also not just about West Africa. It's also, West Africa Decentralized Alliance. It's also about our partners, and that's the one on the other side, sort of pile up. These are startups. They are doing great work on the ground. So Palap is trying to capture CO2 through rideshare. We have Exceed Network or Exceed Land. That's like when we listened to what he was trying to do, it was more like decentralized Udemy, whereby people have a say in what they learn and they are incentivized to learn, and that is really, really important when you come to, especially like deprived regions of the world where it's a choice between learning or trying to survive. So that's when we do need to incentivize people. We also have these up-to-date developers. So they are in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and they are doing such great work on the ground. And these are people, I think Manfo mentioned, they are bright, they are hungry, they are aggressive, and these are the people that will actually take Cardano to the next level in terms of adoption. So this is not about charity to Africa. This is actually wisdom and business sense, right? In supporting some of these projects. We are thankful that ABCD got funded. They're also doing great work. And but the money that was given to them in Fund 3 is nowhere near what they actually need to do the work the way that they need to get it done. So, the Cardano community catalyst provides great opportunity in terms of what can be done. But when it comes to the voting side, we do need to be very, not only to look at the short term, but also look at the long term and what will actually, like when we look at the short term, it's like day trading, right? Maybe it will work, maybe it will not work. But when we behave like how the protocol was built, the Cardano protocol was built, they took their time. There was a lot of criticism. There was a lot of pushback, but they took their time and they built a good thing, right? That's going to last for centuries. And in the same way as voters, when we are voting, let's take our time and look at what will actually last for centuries and not just what is going to grow my bags tomorrow, right? So that's what I wanted to just throw out there.
Thank you, Mercy. Very well said. And I agree with what you're saying there. Now, I don't try to, on Cardano Live here, I don't try to sell any one project, right? No one's neutral, but I try to be neutral as best I can. But I do have to say, y'all been working your butts off. I've been talking with Mercy since like last September, October, November timeframes. And you've been in this game for a while, working very hard, unpaid as of yet. Okay, with all the effort that you're putting into this, as far as Project Catalyst is concerned, and just so people are aware, we're going to do some voter awareness raising here. There is $500 million in the Treasury. So, I mean, we're looking at budgets here of $6,000, $15,000, and topping out at $20,000 budgets for these projects. So, I'm not really worried about the Treasury running out of money funding West Africa Decentralized Alliance projects. I don't think that's going to happen. We have enough money in the Treasury to launch 5 Falcon Heavy rockets. Okay, so I think you guys, you're doing pretty good with having a frugal budget there. I would also like to put in a plug that something voters need to understand is that when you vote, and let's say there's 164 projects, like I think Fund 3 had eligible for voting on there. Okay. And you vote, you got 3 options when you vote. You got 3 options. Did I say that right? Yeah, 3 options. Okay. You can either vote thumbs up, or you can vote thumbs down, or you can not vote. Okay, that's what I call three options. All right. It is not going to deplete the power of your vote if out of 164 projects, let's say you honestly assessed 20 of them. All right, you at least read the summary out of 20 projects, and you decide to vote for 20. It does not take your vote power and divide by 20. That's not how it works. Your vote power applies to all 20 projects, so you're not going to deplete your vote by voting thumbs up for multiple projects. So I just wanted to point that out while it's fresh in mind and people are looking at here's the West African projects, and you took the one and broke them down into several, and you teamed up with other people. So people, when they go on Project Catalyst or when they look inside the Catalyst app on their mobile phone, they can find those easily and say, yes, I understand this better. I've got some training here from Mercy and Manfo and Megan and Josh, and I either agree or disagree, but I support that project, and they can vote in favor of it, right? So I just want to point that out at this point. So what I'd like to do is, Josh, you're like the global director guy, and you kind of get the big picture really good here. Did we touch on everything we needed to? You mentioned at the beginning infrastructure,
Right.
Education, and
DApp creation.
DApp creation that Manfo had touched on.
Yeah.
Did we cover it well? Is there anything we need to add before we wrap up here in a few minutes?
Yeah, I'd say we have the events going on, so meetups, sort of virtual meetups that we're creating that sort of sit outside that. We have sort of what we're doing in Fund 5. So already we're thinking about the next stage, and all of our partners in Fund 5, POA, state pools, and everything that we're creating behind the scenes, because this is an ongoing operation, and it's bigger than just me. It's bigger than Mega, Manfo, and Mercy as well. It's like a growing movement, and people are coming and they're reaching out to us, and they really want to join us in this, a lot of times for free. So we're just on the ride alongside with them and helping out the best we can. It's just a shame that since we didn't get funded in Fund 3, we've now been delayed a little bit in actually progressing in terms of the stages that we had set out for, for the next 6 to 8 months. So yeah, what we've created, of course, is like a program that can sort of facilitate the next 3 months, let's say. So I suppose that's just the last thing that I'd like to add.
Okay, thank you, Josh. And Mercy, you also have something. We're going to start off. Why don't you tell us about what we're going to be doing to get some funding to kind of like fill in the gap? Because when missing Fund 3 sets us back, like 6 weeks before the next funding round is actually delivered. There's a pretty good gap in the middle.
It's actually 3 months because, like in Catalyst, there's a new fund launch every 6 weeks, but the funding cycle actually takes 3 months. It's 6 weeks plus 6 weeks. So that's why we have that overlap in funding because, once it is launched from beginning to the end, it's actually 3 months or 12 weeks. What we are thinking, so, we have a lot of supporters and we are so grateful to the Cardano community. Rick, to you, you have stood by West Africa Decentralized Alliance for many months. You in Fund 2, or was it Fund 3? I can't remember now. You did show publicly, you voted for a fund, WADA publicly, and we really appreciated that. So when, Fund 3 came around and we didn't get funding, Gary Goldman, so he is in charge of, Gary Golden, he is in charge of the New York meetup group. And he was really he was as upset as we were. And he did give us, an idea to do a Twitter campaign. Just go to the Cardano community. We have a lot of supporters, a lot of people who actually see the benefit in focusing on Africa, like right away. And suggested that we should, do this Twitter campaign. In our internal discussions, we were already having plans in terms of investor plans, membership plans, to make us sort of sustainable and not make us so dependable on Catalyst. but that was sort of a long-term plan. So when Gary came out with this idea, it was like, yes, let's do it. So starting today, we are launching, maybe I'll get one of us to talk a bit more about that.
Sure.
Josh, do you want to talk about that? Yeah.
Yeah, I can kick it off. So we're launching now the WADA Foundation. So a lot of the things that we've been talking about have been the pillars, and that's where it came from, right? The whole metaphor around that. So now that we have this WADA Foundation, we're inviting around 50 people to sort of donate at least 500 ADA, let's say, to the WADA project in order just to sustain us for the next 3 months until we get some of the other proposals funded, until we get this internal management system created, and so on. So Mercy will be sending out a tweet about that very soon. We have some of the information as well below that Rick will give. And yeah, we're really grateful to be here, Rick, speaking with you, and to just have the opportunity to share our projects, our passion, and everything that we want to see come alive for Cardano and the community as well.
All right. Thank you, Josh. And thank you, Mercy. And what I'll do, I'll get the links and the information. I'll put it in the description down below. So when people watch later tonight or tomorrow, they'll have it available. And we'll follow up with your plans on getting the sustainment plan out so that you have enough funding to get you through all, the next couple of months. And how was that again? That was going to be, you're trying to get about 50 donors, 500 ADA each, or what was those numbers again, to make sure?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. That's right.
Okay.
So we're calling them the Friends of WADA First 50. So that will be also on the website. We'll have a URL that's being posted soon. I think maybe Virginia will be in the chat. And we'll have the tweets coming out as well, which will just have the QR code if you wish to support. And then there'll be ongoing conversations as well. So this is the beginning of our membership scheme. As Mercy said, this is something we were planning for maybe 6 months down the line. But because of necessity, we've sort of accelerated it, which might have been a blessing in disguise, because more people can actually be part of WADA now that maybe weren't able to. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Josh. Mercy.
And very quickly, one thing that's really exciting us right now is the fact that with this, first 50 Friends of WADA campaign, we're actually going to capture all that on metadata. So when people send in their transactions, we're going to send back a transaction, and in that sending back transaction, we're going to include what they donated, their status as a first 50, like a first 50, whatever we are calling it. I can't remember right now.
Contributors
and then
or
also,
donors?
Yeah, and then also, whatever short information they want to add, if it's their name or if it's, they're doing this donation in memory of someone, they can do that. And that ties in really beautifully to the Fund 5, because in Fund 5, there is actually a category, it has just 50K regarding metadata. But what we like about that particular Fund 5 category is that it also goes with IOG technical support. So we are thinking that maybe we'll put about 4 of our devs on, 0.25 FTE to sort of each to work on this in terms of sending back the transactions and making sure that it's captured forever on the Cardano blockchain. And Gimba Labs, James, is actually going to give us a lot of technical support with that as well. So yeah, we are quite very excited about that. I'm not showing the excitement so much, but we are very, very excited about that.
Oh, that's a brilliant idea. That's a nice thank you to the people who contribute to the West Africa Decentralized Alliance. They donate 500 ADA, and they can have some information engraved into the blockchain. That's awesome.
Exactly.
That's incredible. Well, thank you, Mercy, and thank you, Josh, Manfo, and Megan. I appreciate your leadership. You guys are here representing many, many, many people, a lot of people. So it takes your leadership and coordination to keep everything moving forward. and we very much appreciate it. Thank you for coming on Cardano Live, and feel free to come back anytime in the future if we need to get the voting campaign and at least get information out there when the voting matters most. You know, when people have the app in front of their face and they say, "Oh, okay," right? That's whenever we want to make sure we're reminding people, and you can give them an update. You give an update of where we're at and how the fundraising campaign went as well. Sound good?
That's
Sounds good.
great.
Yes.
Thank
All
you so
right.
much, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you. Rick.
You're welcome. And I would like to thank all the viewers, and a reminder that we'll put the information down below, and Mercy will be putting the information out on Twitter as well for the fundraiser. All right, everyone. Y'all have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.